The summer movie season is upon us, so what is on your must-see list this year? Coming up next on Prime, a preview of what's hot and what's not this summer. Prime starts now. Hi, I'm Emily Hargrove and welcome to Prime. So Memorial Day weekend is here, and that marks not only the start of summer, it marks the summer movie blockbuster season. And who better than to talk about what's hot and what's not this season than the Dallas Morning News movie critic Chris Vognar and KERA's Art and Seek Stephen Becker, otherwise both known as the duo from the Big Screen podcast. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
That's us. Thank you for having us.
Yay, you're here. So I am an esteemed film company.
Yeah, some might say that. I don't know if we would.
Well,
you're welcome.
I will say it. I'm allowed to say it.
Fair
So
enough.
tell me, before we launch into the films, tell me about the Big Screen podcast.
Stephen?
Yeah, well, it's a joint partnership between KERA and the Dallas Morning News, and we do a weekly podcast where the idea is to hopefully pick out one movie each week and have a more in-depth conversation about that movie. We also have a variety of guests on from both local and national movies, and it's every week on Fridays.
And it's relatively new, isn't it? The last few
we're
months?
about
6 months now.
6 months in.
And so you've had some great guests already.
I like to think so.
All right. We had Will Ferrell on. He was fun.
He was pretty big.
The great Whit Stillman.
The great
That's right.
Yep.
We had Ziggy Marley.
The great Ziggy
So
Marley.
it's a whole variety of folks. Plus, we always talk to who's ever involved in our local film festivals, people like that.
Absolutely. The Dallas International Film Festival. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, that was a
that
big player.
I've heard of that one, actually.
Yeah, I've heard of that one too. I don't know why, in the back of my consciousness somewhere. Well, congratulations on 6 months of the Big Screen podcast. And we are going to launch into the films because there is a lot coming up this season. And June especially, it seems to be bumper packed and filled. So let's talk about June and the few things. Moonrise Kingdom has just opened up Cannes Film Festival, so we'll have a look at the trailer in a minute, but give me a quick overview of Moonrise Kingdom.
It's Wes Anderson's new movie. I think it's his best live action movie in a really long time, actually. I like Fantastic Mr. Fox quite a bit as well. It's the story of two 12-year-olds who run away, two very young lovers on a New England island, fictional New England island, and the various bumbling and clueless adults who try to find them, including Edward Norton and Bruce Willis. I think it's a very sweet movie. It's got a lot of the Wes Anderson eccentric touches, but they don't seem as forced as they often do. It's just, I thought, a very heartfelt and at the same time kind of funny and skewed Wes Anderson kind of experience.
Yeah, it seems that way from the trailer. Well, let's take a quick look at Moonrise Kingdom.
Dear Susie, here's my plan.
Dear Sam, my answer is yes.
Dear Susie, 1.
Dear Sam, where?
Dear Susie, walk 400 yards due north from your house to the dirt path which has not got any name on it. Turn right and follow to the end. I will meet you in the meadow.
Who's missing? Shukusky, you in there? Jiminy Cricket, he flew the coop.
Walt, where the hell are you?
Right here.
Does it concern you that your daughter has just run away from home?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it looks a really lovely film. And how was it received at Cannes?
It's gotten, fairly good reviews. Nobody really goes nuts for films in Cannes because there's always somebody who's going to be a little bit of a detractor. But I think the best thing about it is that it really does a nice job of putting the viewer back to a time when maybe you were 12 or 13 years old, you had that first love, you thought maybe you'd run away from all the adults who were, keeping you down. So it does a great job of putting you back in that mindset, and that's partly why I think it's a good film for summer.
At Cannes, if they're not booing their heads off and throwing tomatoes at the screen, it means they loved it, basically. So they got received pretty well.
They did love Tree of Life.
They did indeed love Tree of
Well,
Life.
and Wes Anderson is kind of an honorary Frenchman at this point since he lives in Paris, so he may be getting a little bit of a hometown discount there.
Well, and interesting, going back to being 12 years old, and I mean, it has such a different feel to what some of the other blockbusters are that we're going to talk about. Prometheus, you can't get much more different, can you?
I wouldn't think so, yeah.
Than Moonrise Kingdom.
Any 12-year-olds in Prometheus?
I don't think so, but as
some aliens probably.
You know, as almost like a low tech as Moonrise Kingdom is, which it basically is just filmed on a fictional island and at a Boy Scout camp, more or less.
Right.
Prometheus is something that I think is all bells and whistles and sci-fi trickery.
And as 12-year-olds in a Wes Anderson movie, these kids talk like they're 40. So you have to sort of qualify the kid part. All of Wes Anderson's young characters are kind of old souls, and they sound like they're already very world-weary at the age of 12.
Yes.
And in contrast, the adults talk like 12-year-olds, which are played by Frances McDormand and Bill Murray primarily, also with Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
And Edward Norton.
And Edward Norton. And Edward Norton's, what else is he in the summer? I'm
sure. Yeah, that's news to me.
I'm sure I've seen. Oh well, maybe I've just dreamt about him. I like him.
Well, let's hear more about that.
Yeah,
that's another thing entirely. I like Edward Norton. So Prometheus, talking about that there seems to be a lot of mystery about that. Why is that?
I think that's it's a marketing technique. You know, sometimes less is more, and it allows you to just intrigue people solely through a trailer that doesn't tell you a whole lot. You know, what the makers of that film want you to know is it's Ridley Scott and he's back in sci-fi territory, and we're going to show you a lot of pretty and you know, sci-fi looking things, and hopefully that's going to be enough to drag you in.
I mean, the real mystery is whether or not it is in fact a prequel to Alien.
Do you think it is?
Yes, I do. It looks very much like it is, and he's being very coy, as Stephen says. He's not a stupid guy when it comes to selling and marketing a film. He keeps saying things like, it has strands of DNA from Alien in it. Like, yeah, it's an Alien prequel. I'm really excited to see it. I love Alien. I love Ridley Scott in sci-fi mode, Blade Runner as well. So this is way up on my list of must-see.
Yeah, I mean, it looks quite incredible. So let's take a quick look at Prometheus.
Prometheus, the ground crew.
One of them probes picked up a life form.
Just got a pin.
What do you need a pin?
One click west of you.
Is it moving? What's that? Everybody back on the ship now.
You need to stay calm.
It's okay.
If you're going down there, you're going to die.
They're changing.
Changing into what?
What is that?
There's a ship.
They're leaving.
To go where?
Earth.
We were so wrong. Take us home! If we don't stop it, there won't be any home to go.
Wow.
Intense.
It is intense.
Looks like fun, too. I mean, maybe not fun, but it looks like it has that sort of creepy, crawly suspense. And that's the great thing that Alien did, was it always kept you guessing and never left you comfortable.
And is it going to be a cameo?
By
That's
Sigourney.
what I keep wondering. Yeah,
Do you think
she's
there will
going
be?
to show
I almost
up
think
here.
that would be tipping the hand too much. But she pops up. She had a cameo in Cabin in the Woods. She had a cameo in Paul last year. So she's been known to do these little sci-fi cameos. Something tells me this one's a little too close to home for that to work. I could be wrong, though.
Well, you never know. Watch the space. And of course, Charlize Theron is in Snow White and the Huntsman. That's also coming out next month.
Yeah, I actually have decent hopes for that. We've been on a little bit of a Snow White run this year. We had Mirror, Mirror earlier with Julia Roberts playing the evil queen. Now Charlize Theron looks as if she's a more truly evil queen as opposed to Julia Roberts' sort of comedically evil presence in that film. This also has Kristen Stewart in it, who I think will draw her own audience off of the Twilight movies, of course.
The what movies?
Yeah, maybe you've heard of them.
Oh, the vampire.
Yeah, the vampire movies. So yeah, I think this will maybe be the first big teen movie of the summer. I realize we already had the Avengers, but I don't know that the Avengers called out to the teen girls, where I think this movie certainly will.
Yeah, this is the action version of Snow White, and Mirror, Mirror was sort of the lame comedy version of Snow White. And it also kind of feeds into a trend of women who kick butt, for lack of a better phrase. Brave is also going to showcase that. It looks like Prometheus has a little bit of that as well. So it's a trend to watch for this summer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I just can't quite, Kristen Stewart, I don't know, I just can't quite I just don't buy into her.
She's a little mopey, but
she is a bit
she's
mopey.
actually a pretty good actress, and it looks like she gets to stand up a little bit and quit crying about whether she likes the vampire or the werewolf in this one. So
which will be a refreshing change.
Yeah, a little bit more fun for her and hopefully for us as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we just alienated every Twilight fan in the world.
Well, I love Twilight. I mean, I actually love Twilight. I prefer it to Harry Potter, which says something as I worked on the Harry Potter films.
But that's
I didn't
know you're contractually allowed to say that.
Don't say that.
Do you tell your former Harry Potter peeps?
You know, actually, I just have.
Well, I'm sure they can console themselves by lying around in their piles of money.
Yes,
that's true. So Brave, that looks. I mean, going from Prometheus, Snow White to Brave, that just looks beautiful.
It's Pixar, so of course, I mean, everything they do looks beautiful, and usually the story is just as good. So they've set a very high bar for themselves at this point.
It really is. That something that I can take my son to?
Probably.
Oh, yeah, I would think so.
How old's your son?
3. Maybe a touch young.
Well, I think the significant thing about it is that, I mean, A, it's Pixar, but it's the first time that Pixar has had a female heroine in one of their movies. And most of their movies have been, I would think boys and girls could be equally interested, but I think it's actually a nice treat that the girls in the audience will have, their own character to really grab a hold to that maybe they didn't quite have in movies that were really good, as like Toy Story and Cars, but who featured, boy or male main characters.
Right. I think it just looks beautiful. It really does. And Rock of Ages, my gosh, that looks like a blast from beginning to end.
It's mostly, I think people want to see what Tom Cruise wears when he's belting out an 80s hair metal anthem. I mean, who wouldn't want to see that? That puts me there already. I'm not even a huge Tom Cruise fan.
No.
I'm a hair metal fan, though. So
you are.
It has that going for it.
It does. Well, I mean, Tom, it feels like he really has got into it.
That's what it looks like. That's what everybody's saying.
When I see the footage from it, the first thing I think of is the character he played in Magnolia, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie, the sort of over-the-top motivational speaker.
And the men's motivational speaker.
Yeah, and when you give Tom Cruise a chance to be very outwardly just over the top, as he was in something like Tropic Thunder, where he is not necessarily, the main character. I mean, he may be in Rock of Ages, but where he's allowed to just play, he does not necessarily the hero. He can play this just outwardly crazy character. He actually is really good at doing that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. And then, he gets a chance to sing in the movie, so that ought to be entertaining.
And he has a sense of humor about it, which is great.
Yeah, which is nice when a big star like that does.
Plus, he's got Alec Baldwin to play off of, which I hope he sings a hair metal anthem as well. That would be awesome.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Well, he just has the hair. I mean, his hair looks amazing in it. So moving on to July, the biggest one, I think, from both of your perspectives, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, that's the one to get out of the way of if you're the other movies and the other studios. So they've just set a very high bar for themselves. Christopher Nolan is about as good a craftsman as there is out there. I'm not even a huge fan of the Bale character and the very serious kind of whispery Batman voice. I'm going to tear you apart. But everything else, the darkness, really. I mean, it's there in the title. These are superhero movies that kind of push the limits of how existential and gloomy and world-weary a superhero movie can be. And in that sense, they have a very adult appeal that something like, say, The Avengers may not have.
Right. Well, let's take a look at The Dark Knight Rises, because there's a lot of anticipation about it.
Did they kill him?
I'm not sure.
Why didn't you just kill me?
Your punishment must be more severe.
Do you think he's coming back?
I don't know. Why would you run, Bane?
You should be as afraid of him as I am.
I won't bury you. I've buried enough members of the Wayne family.
You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
Anne Hathaway also kicking butt.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, and you know
that's going to please the male audience.
Yeah, and the thing that this recent series of the Batman movies has done so well is, I mean, just the supporting cast that's able to pull in with people like Anne Hathaway, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This actually serves as kind of a mini Inception reunion with Nolan, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Tom Hardy, who plays the main new bad guy in this film. And just, you know, Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine playing these kind of roles on the side. I mean, that's good gets if you can get them.
And will this be the absolute last one?
Yeah.
There is not going to be any more.
At least of the Christopher Nolan groupings.
And that's one of the other things that really makes you look forward to this, is that it's the grand finale. You know, they're going to try to pull something pretty special out and pull out all the stops for the grand denouement.
So we're going to Oscar contender?
Yeah, probably. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, the whole reason they expanded the Best Picture category a few years ago to 10 films, or as many as 10 films, was because the last Dark Knight everybody loved and it didn't get nominated.
Right.
Of course, they changed the rules again since then.
Yeah, so they keep
maybe it won't get nominated all over again.
With it. But if this is a big hit, which it will be, in fact, I predict that this Avengers opening weekend record is going to fall when the Dark Knight opens. Yeah, I think it would be very hard to ignore. And I also think of since it's the final, you know, installment of this, I think back to the last Lord of the Rings movie. That was the one where that finally had all the Oscars dumped on top of it. And that may happen to this too.
It's kind of a franchise achievement award Oscar more than anything else.
I know it's a little early to talk Oscars, but you know, if this is as strong as
is it ever too early to talk Oscars?
It's always
like
too
we
early
just
to
finished the Oscars, but you know, if this is as strong or stronger than The Dark Knight, then you absolutely have to at least consider it.
Right, and we've got and shifting gears entirely to Woody Allen and to Rome with Love.
Oh, he's in Dark Knight. No.
Just imagine him in a costume. My gosh, so this is highly anticipated.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you know, he's coming off the biggest hit of his career by far, Midnight in Paris. He is continuing his little tour of Europe. You know, he's taken a little bit of a break from the New York films and decided he's going to globetrot on the continent a bit. And this one's set in Rome, and this looks like a pretty straightforward, conventional Woody Allen comedy with a really big cast of well-known players, including Penelope Cruz, Alec Baldwin, Jesse Eisenberg, Ellen Page, and we should note Woody Allen, who hasn't been in one of his own movies in a while. So that's longtime Woody Allen fans, I think, might be divided on the fact that he's back in front of the camera this time.
I'm a longtime Woody Allen fan who's expecting almost nothing from this because I can't remember the last time he's made back-to-back good movies. And also, I'm not really looking for it. I mean, the longer he does this and puts himself on screen and drools over 25, 30-year-old women for everybody to look at.
That doesn't do it for you.
Makes my skin crawl just a little bit.
You know, this time around, I believe he's married to Hope Davis, who's probably 25 years younger than
Hope or Judy?
Oh, Judy Davis.
Okay.
Sorry, Judy Davis.
Yeah.
And who, at least from the previews, it looks like they have a nice chemistry together. And
so he's not stepping out on her or anything.
Well, you know, I guess it remains to be seen.
He's not going out with Ellen Page.
That may.
Well, yeah, you never know. It might surprise you.
Come here.
Is my well, I mean, June and July, we're running out of time, and so of course the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, and she's you know, a hot ticket item right now, so everybody needs to keep an eye out for that. But we are going to be right back when talking about August and what else is to come. So, Chris, Stephen, thank you. Join us. We are going to be right back.